Welcome back. The way we watch films is evolving, and Hollywood and the movie theatre industry as a whole faces a state of flux and uncertainty as we enter 2026. Streaming, consolidation, and AI all continue to be issues that the entertainment industry is dealing with. That said, the overall domestic box office grossed $8.87 billion in 2025. That's according to Deadline. And while that is up from the year before, it's down from 2023 when Barbie and Oppenheimer were released on the same day. Remember that? And it's well behind 2019 before the pandemic when domestic earnings totaled more than $11 billion. Among the movies that the box office will look to for a boost throughout 2026 are Christopher Nolan's newest epic, The Odyssey, Avengers Doomsday, and Dune Part 3, which is from Warner Brothers, owned by the same parent company as CNN. Seth Schachner is the founder and managing director of Strat Americas, a business development consultancy that deals with entertainment and digital media. That sounds very fancy. He's joining me from Los Angeles. How are you doing, Seth?
Great to be here, Ben. Happy New Year to you and everyone.
Happy New Year to you too. Thank you so much for being here. Let's get into this. Looking back at 2025, do you think that Hollywood is struggling to make the cultural impact that it once did?
I do think it's in a period where it's got a ton of challenges, particularly in kind of its traditional vein, if you will, thinking in things like theaters and some of the classic blockbusters. And so, yeah, it's been hit on all sides by everything from AI to labor strife and mergers and streaming. But, when I really look at it, not just in 2025, but going forward, there's a lot of bright spots as well, and they're probably not getting credit for what those bright spots are. So it's a little bit of a mix of both right now.
Last year, I have to say, there were so many films I wanted to see in theaters, but just days after they were released, they just disappeared from schedules. What's driving that, and why is it happening?
It's a weird thing. I mean, I think in general, the public here is being kind of conditioned to wait and hang out on the couch and order a pizza for when it comes to streaming and not to rush to theaters right now. But, we've had the town, in particular, the traditional releasing model through theaters and out through different forms of home entertainment and pay TV has been completely shaken up. And so, the studios have their own streaming services. Obviously, you've got Netflix and its competitors out there. And I think everyone's kind of jumping into the pool to not only attract subscribers, but make things profitable. And it's impacted the traditional ways, people get their entertainment. And sometimes there are parts of the ecosystem that really suffer. I think theaters are probably the biggest one. And, it's a very weird thing. Pictures come in, they vanish. They'll be there for a couple days at weird times. And, if it's not, a really big blockbuster, particularly if it's an independent, an arts picture, or even something in between, it's hard to catch it and find it. So people are waiting for it to stream. So it is a little bit of a mess in terms of thinking about it that way.
I guess price comes into that as well, because I recently paid more for a date night in Atlanta to see Rental Family at the theater than I did for a date night on Broadway in New York to see a show. So, wild. Let's talk about AI, because synthetic actors aren't just sci-fi anymore, right? AI is now part of production too. How could that shift affect box office performance and audience turnout?
Well, so I think this is, I think there's a bit of a making a mountain out of a molehill stuff with AI right now. I mean, Tilly Norwood, and I think there's going to be 40 other actors from that studio are scaring people. She looks really real. And, this new technology that's come out from OpenAI called Sora 2 is, I think, very disruptive and frightening people, basically. So, it's reasonable to expect that there will be more artificial intelligence incorporated into the production of motion pictures and TV shows and music, by the way. I'm not someone that comes out and think it's going to turn everything on its head, basically. And I kind of see it, as do a lot of people, as a tool that will, help things, whether it's production costs or things look cooler and better. It's already all over lots of products, Ben. It's on everything from old Beatles re-releases to sci-fi picks, and people don't realize it. So it'll increasingly be a part of the landscape. I don't know if Tilly Norwood's going to replace Brad Pitt, but I do think there are things like influencers that are probably threats as well.
Yes. Let's have some optimism as well, start of the year. We are seeing faith and family studios and boutique players finding their own audiences. Do you think that these are isolated successes, or could they be a blueprint for how Hollywood is actually going to make money going forward?
I think that's the biggest part of the landscape right now in terms of what's promising. I mean, there's these interest groups that I think certain of these pictures or groups of pictures are hitting. I mean, you just mentioned faith-oriented stuff. David, The Sound of Freedom. There's something out here called Angel Studios, which is kind of a crowd-supported enterprise, and it's doing particularly well. And people, with families and children want to bring the families to theaters, and they don't want to see lots of stuff blown up. They have a positive, productive experience, and so I think that's a very, very real, happy development, something I'm keeping my eyes on. I mean, the other stuff I'm seeing, Minecraft has been one of the biggest stories out here all year. It's a game, comes from a game. It resonates with certain generations, basically. It had some, kind of ridiculous things in it, the chicken jockey, but people loved it, had that communal experience in the theaters, and it really worked, as does K-pop Demon Hunters, which, came out of Sony and Netflix, but has become kind of the biggest thing on Netflix, I think, ever in terms of its streaming. And it's got a really cool music soundtrack to it as well. And that's very multinational, hits a lot of different interest groups well beyond just Asian Americans. It's a really positive story. So I think when you look at, I mentioned Marty Supreme too, which is young adults are loving it. And I think if you look at these developments, that's a really promising thing. AI and robots can't do that, basically. Mergers aren't going to produce that. That's just good old creativity that's coming out.
I love this as well because I've just made a list of films I still need to see, so I'm very excited to get through them. For now, Seth Schachner, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ben.